You know that verse in Corinthians, love is kind, love is patient? No, it was stagnant. That's why I left. It was stagnant. And that's when I realized it wasn't love. That was stagnation. It wasn't patience. And his was intolerance for me. He loved what I gave to him. He loved how he felt with me. But he didn't love me. It was just really bad. It was really karmic. It was really bad. It was really bad. It was really bad. It was really bad, guys. Guys, it was so bad. And I didn't realize how bad it was because it was so covert. Because I wasn't getting my ass beat, or I wasn't getting sexually assaulted, or I wasn't being verbally demeaned. It was hard for me to see how bad it was. I never wanted to change him. Like, he was smoking weed, he was gambling, he was going out with his friends. I never did anything to where it would be suggestive of me encouraging him to change for the relationship or for me. Any change that took place would honestly be on his behalf, because I never pushed him to do anything that I wanted him to do. I always allowed him to do what he wanted to do. Okay, so boom, I write poetry. And there's this poem that I am currently writing. And there's a line within this poem that says, I want to hold myself in your arms. I want to hold myself in your arms. You get what I'm saying? When I said I want to hold myself in your arms, essentially, I'm drawing significance to how, when in a romantic relationship, you are calling yourself to yourself, for yourself. As in relationships, we are merely reflecting that which we have experienced, or those who we have experienced. So when I'm in a friendship with another person, when I'm in a romantic relationship with another person, when I'm in my familial dynamics, I am connecting with myself through them. They may not be the full experience that was experienced. They may not be the entirety of that person that I experienced, but they mirror an aspect of myself given experience, or an aspect of myself in second person or third person, because of who I experienced. You know what I'm saying? So basically, like, you're just calling yourself to yourself when you find these different relationships, and you get so much insight and profound, knowledge from it, because it's like you always get something different. I'm basically saying, like, you always get something different from whatever relationship you're in, and it contributes to the full picture of who you are, because it's like, I've learned something about myself because I engaged with myself by engaging with that person. By being in that relationship, I met myself in a different way. May it be who I was, who I am, or who I could be. I met myself when meeting them. So long story short, I wanted to speak on this because I realized I was never in love with my male significant. I think because I understood him absolutely, because I sincerely cared for him, and there were such profound sentiments of endearment that I held for him and or towards him, I just thought I was in love with him. Or at least I thought the feelings that I held towards him was becoming of love, and it wasn't. It wasn't love, because my male significant did not love himself. And because he did not love himself, he could not love me. And not only in the sense of not loving me to where it was adequate enough for me to appropriately accept a sufficient love, it was not love because he loved what I gave to him. He loved how he felt with me. But he didn't love me. And I really acknowledge this fact even more so now that my absence is the reason for him acknowledging the significance of my presence and speaking affirmatively on my behalf, rather than falling in love with what I was given, rather than falling in love or perceiving my sentiments as being loved because of how I felt with this person. Honestly, I perceived our relationship and I perceived my endearment for this young man as being love, because I fell in love with the potential. I fell in love with the idea, because when I look back on the treatment of this, relationship, or of myself in this relationship, it was fucking awful. There were more, it was just really bad. It was really karmic. It was really bad. It was really bad. It was really bad. It was really bad, guys. Guys, it was so bad. And I didn't realize how bad it was because it was so covert. because I wasn't getting my ass beat, or I wasn't getting sexually assaulted, or I wasn't being verbally demeaned. It was hard for me to see how bad it was until I had to look at my spirit, until I had to look at my mind, that I realized, like, damn, it was bad. Even as I tell you guys this, it just hits me even more so how bad it was. And like I said, like, I'm not even going to shit on this young man or try to make him, like, I'm not going to villainize him. All I can do is tell you guys the truth, or my perspective of the truth as it, is for me. And he's a good person at heart, but because of the way his mind is set up, given his experiences, mentally he's fucked up. And that fucks with him spiritually, to where, when in love, he's not able to be as pure as he could be, or as genuine and as, loving as he intends to be. His actions tend to fall short of his intentions, or maybe it's just like that because, like I said, mentally he's fucked up. So there'd be some, I'm not, but like, damn, it was bad. But long story short, I think we both confused our feelings for one another, because for me, I fell in love with potential, and for him, he fell in love with a feeling. He fell in love with what I could give him and what was given, but not who I was. And, I think because I understood who he was, and I never wanted to change him. Like, he was smoking weed, he was gambling, he was going out with his friends. I never did anything to where it would be suggestive of me encouraging him to change for the relationship or for me. Any change that took place would honestly be on his behalf, because I never pushed him to do anything that I wanted him to do. I always allowed him to do what he wanted to do. Yet conclusively, bringing everything full circle, as I mentioned previously, we call in ourselves when we call in these various relationships, when we call in these different people, we are calling in an aspect of ourselves, to ourselves, for ourselves. So what did self get from this relationship? Well, in being mistreated, did I realize how much I mistreated myself by treating other people? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was being treated like shit. Like, I didn't matter. I was treated so adverse to how I treated other people that I became questionable of myself. Yet, through this treatment, did it really, I wouldn't say assured me, but it really made me acknowledge, like, damn, Lamaya, but in the same way he's treating you, you treat yourself that way. I treat myself that way. And I guess for him, it was more so an acknowledgement of how much he didn't love himself, because he had somebody that was treating him so good. He had someone that was giving him everything that he wanted, everything that he needed, and he still mistreated that. So I think it really revealed to him on his behalf how much he didn't love himself. And on my behalf, it didn't really reveal how much I didn't love myself. I love myself a whole lot. I know my worth. I know my value. I'm very confident in my skills, qualities, and abilities. Like, I know this. But I think it was just a matter of responding accordingly. You know what I mean? Like, just behaving in that fashion, and to behave with high confidence, to behave with great esteem requires compassion. And that's something I lacked. To be gentle with myself. Not to be so militant and, disciplined, so yeah, I learned a valuable lesson. This karmic relationship definitely resulted in a karmic lesson, obviously, but bitch, did I learn. Okay, you gonna learn today. That's what the spirit guides, God, the divine, Mother Nature, however you refer, they said, bitch, you gonna learn today. I said, okay. And something that I also wanted to mention is how when things got uncomfortable, my male significant ran away. When I said something that he didn't like, when I did something he didn't like, he then disliked me, and that's not love. You may not like what someone has to say about you. You may not like how someone behaves with and or to you, yet you will always love that person when you love that person. You'll always like, well, no, I'm not gonna say you always like that person, but you'll always love that person enough to work through what you're going through, rather than working through what we went through. He just kind of ran away. He dismissed it, and that really signified to me that if not, this feeling between one another wasn't love. It wasn't a love that I was willing to accept. It wasn't a love that I wanted to be a part of, because when he became unbearable for me, when things became difficult, when he did something I didn't like, when he said something I didn't like, it didn't stop me from believing or wanting to fall in love with him. What stopped me from wanting to fall in love with him was the fact that at this point, it wasn't patience that I was yielding. You know that verse in Corinthians, love is kind, love is patient? No, it was stagnant. That's why I left. It was stagnant. And that's when I realized it wasn't love. That was stagnation. It wasn't patience. And his was intolerance for me, you know? So it's just crazy lessons that you receive from other people within various relationships. And I don't look at it with a scorn heart or with resentment. Like, I literally appreciate this experience, because for whomever is to come into my life next, I truly will appreciate them more than I, even appreciated my male significant. I just be very grateful. So much gratitude to the next man.